Hello there and welcome back to my channel. It is of course only me again, and thank you very much for joining me on another metal detecting adventure. So things have been a little bit busy here in the background on the channel, which has meant that I haven't been able to get out as many videos as what I'd hoped. I have got lots of amazing new content planned, so do stay tuned on the channel because it's going to be coming a lot more fast and a lot more regularly. But today we are on a new permission. I have been kindly invited here by the one and only Mr. Tweed. Guess what? Mr. Tweed is back.
Hello, I'm alive.
He is back and we're going to do some metal detecting today, and as I say, it's a new permission, it's a pasture permission. We don't know what we're going to get here, but it's in a great location overlooking this town here, so you never know, we could find something good, but of course you guys have got to watch to find out. So that leaves me to say thank you all so much for watching, and if you do like my videos and you like metal detecting in general, you're in the right place, so do consider to hit that subscribe button down below, and if you like this video and you want to support what I do, give me a thumbs up as well. But that is the talking out of the way, and I will catch all of you on the very first hole. Okay, it is that time of the morning where we've come down on our very first target. But before I show you the target, I just want to let you know that today I am going to be using the Forager 2.0 program in this field today. And I'm going to hopefully try and sort of let you hear about the program, listen to the sounds that it makes over certain targets, and explain a little bit about why I've set the tone breaks as to where they are as well. So this video was sort of recommended for me to do on the channel, and I am delivering. So I'm going to be doing a few of these videos throughout sort of the spring season. But yep, today we are using the Forager 2.0, and my very first target right next to the hedge here is a little button. Now this button just came in an absolutely stonking sort of 83 to 84, so it could have been anything at all. But turns out it's just a little copper alloy button, so it's nothing to worry about. But we're going to keep going. We've only been here 5 or 10 minutes, and this field is huge, and we've got a few other fields to try as well. So let's keep going. Okay, so here we have a nice solid 80 target on the VDI. Now, this is a good example of something that's going to be a nice solid target. Could be copper alloy, could be anything at all, but this is something I would definitely dig because the numbers are steady, the sound's good, it's not wavering in between any of the tone breaks. Yeah, and I think this one's going to be worth a dig. Let's give it a go. Okay, so it says that it has come out in the plug, so let's get the pinpointer and see what we've got. Now the target doesn't sound like a great target, but it is a target nonetheless. And what do we have here? It's another button. It's a big copper alloy, flat tomback style button. And that is exactly why the target would have come up as a solid number. It wouldn't have had any crunches after it or any sort of foggy, fainty sort of sounding targets. It was a banging target, and that just goes to show that it was a button quite close to the top and something we want to dig. Okay, so this is a really interesting little target. So first and foremost, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? But if you can just hear afterwards, it's got that little grunt to it, that little iron grunt. It's not a clean target, it's certainly nowhere near as clean as that first button that we had. And what's really interesting about this one is if we turn on an axis, almost disappears, faint little iron grunt there. And then when we turn this way, even more grunty, even more dirty. I probably wouldn't dig this one, but for the sake of kind of this video and showing you this program, let's dig it out and see what it is. Okay, so we've dug it out. It's come out of the hole. And as you can hear, that is just an iron grunt now. And that is exactly why I wouldn't have dug this one out in the first place. But let's actually see what it is. I think it's going to be like a little nail or something like that. Here we go, here's the target. And it's not a little nail, it is a huge nail. So that is a piece of iron, but it's obviously got a few other little bits of metal and fragments of this and that thrown into the pot when it was cast. Would you want to dig that? I wouldn't. I would prefer of that to stay in the ground. But there we are, a nice example of what would be, you know, a relatively good target. Turn it on an axis and you just hear that little iron grunt afterwards. Probably not going to be something good. Okay, so as you can hear with this target, it's a bit of an iffy one, isn't it? I mean, it's coming at quite a low number. It's coming up at around 66 to 67. And from some angles, it sounds good. And from some angles, it sounds scratchy. And these are the tone breaks working exactly as I've programmed them, because what it's doing is it's dropping the numbers a little bit here, even going so far as down as the 30s, and then it jumps up into the 80s. And this is the benefit of 5 tones, because 5 tones means that you're going to get a different sound for each sort of numbral segment within the tone breaks. And what's this telling me? Well, it's definitely telling me there's something down there, but is it saying that we want to dig it? Personally, I wouldn't. I think this is going to be a piece of modern trash, possibly aluminium or something like that. But for the sake of the video, let's give it a go. Okay, so it has come out in the top of the plug, which means that it wasn't very deep. And let's just see if we can find it. No, it's probably going to be easier to get the pinpointer. Let's see what we've got. There we go. And what do we have? Well, it's just a piece of scrap lead. Exactly as I thought. I knew it wasn't going to be anything good. It's very bent and very buckled, which is why it's giving you that kind of crossed signals throughout the tone breaks. And yeah, we don't want that. It's just a scrap piece of lead. So let's move on. Okay, so we have got another target down here, and have a listen to that. That is jumping around all over the place. Just looking at the target identification screen, it's going from 4. It's kind of mixing between the 40s and then up to 78, 84. I mean, that sounds like a rough target. And again, this is another example of the 5 tone breaks doing their job. Because if I had, say, 2 tone breaks or 3 tone breaks, the likelihood is this target would just sound nice, which is not always a bad thing. But I like to kind of differentiate a little bit more about what the target is, and that's why I spent a lot of time and effort making the Forager program with all the different tone breaks to try and figure out if things under the ground were actually quite good. Now, I know for sure that this is not going to be a very good target, and I'm not going to dig it out. That little thud, hear that thud? Just after the nice target, There's a little thud in there. Definitely not a digger, this one. And I'm certainly not going to be wasting my time digging this one out, video or not. But just keep an eye out for this, especially if you're using Forager 2.0, because this is the sort of target you would quite happily just walk over and move on to something good. So have a listen to this one. This is an entirely different beast. This is the sort of targets that I'm looking for, to be honest with you. It is an absolutely sweet little sound. It's a little bit faint, which might mean that it's quite deep, but it's clean. And it doesn't matter which way around you go on this target. It's just clean, clean and clean, which says to me this is probably going to be a nice solid base metal. It's not going to be mixed with anything, and it's likely going to be quite old. The numbers are coming up at about 64 to 66, so it's jumping around a little bit, but it's nice and solid within that tone break, and that's kind of what we're looking for here. So it could be a nice piece of lead, something like that. Well, I say a nice piece of lead, don't really know of that many nice pieces of lead, but it's got to be better than nothing, so I think we should definitely give this one a go. There we go. So it's come out in the plug, which is great because it means that it's not relatively deep, but it could be something quite small. So let's give it an investigation and see what we've got here. There we go. That is the target. And it's nothing great, it is just a piece of scrap copper alloy. But that is the reason why this was a solid target, because it's thin, hence why it was in the 60s. But it is copper alloy, and that's the type of metal that we're looking for. Nice solid signals, regardless of whether they're faint or loud. That's could have been anything at all. Just turns out that it was, on this occasion, a piece of scrap metal. Okay, so here is a target. It is coming up 71 to 72, but there is one certain little identification that you want to pay note of with this target, and it's that tiny little iron grunt that sometimes follows it up. Have a listen. Hear that? That's basically saying that there is something in the ground, but it's not quite as clean or as a solid metal as what we would generally like. But of course we are demonstrating to you how the program works and how all the sounds work today, so I think we should definitely give this one a dig and just see what it is. My guess is this is going to be possibly like an old button, but it could also be a piece of modern scrap. There we go. So now the target has come out. It is not very nice at all. So that leads me to think that this is most certainly going to be a piece of scrap or something like that. Could even be sort of tin foil, but I probably wouldn't have dug this usually. Here we go, and there we are. That is the bottom piece to a squeezy tube, and it is made of relatively modern aluminium, and that is absolutely typical of the sort of targets you don't want to dig, but very difficult to identify these in and amongst other good targets. And those little identifiers, i.e. that tiny little dirty grunt just after the nice target, will generally tell you if it's something modern or if it's something old. So there we are, good example on that one, but let's keep going and hopefully we actually find something good today. Okay, so this is quite a nice target, and can you hear why? it's just clean. It's not got any sort of irony grunt to it. It's relatively stable on the target identification screen. It's quite firmly lingering around 75 to 76. It sounds quite small, whatever it is, but it doesn't matter which angle that you catch this on. It is a consistent, clean target. Now, this could be something quite interesting, and this is something I would definitely dig. So let's give this one a go. So it's saying it's come out, which means it's quite near to the top, which means we don't have to dig very far, which is good. Somewhere here. Okay, what do we have? Well, look at that. It's a bullet. It is actually a bullet, but of course it's a lead bullet, isn't it? It's one of those really early kind of lead shots, which were the sort of the later kind of lead shot, the predecessor being the round musket shot, and then they started developing more accurate ways of firing these objects, and that meant shaping them into small little bullets with a rounded cone at the top. So there we are. That was a good target, just as I thought it would be, and definitely worth digging that one. So keep an eye out for those clean targets. They certainly do, point towards them being a pretty good, target in the ground. Okay, have a listen to that one. Do you think this is a digger, or do you think it's not a digger? Well, there's a couple of things that might lean me towards actually wanting to dig this one. And that is because, first of all, the sound. Always go by the sound first of all. And that sound to me has a very stereotypical round sound to it. So I'm thinking this could be a coin. Now, it's not the cleanest sound, and it has got a little bit of an iron grunt, but it's a faint iron grunt, and it almost to me sounds like it's something separate to the actual target itself. Now, regardless of which way around I tackle this, that target is always there and it's always consistent. But I think we should give this one a dig and see what it is. You never know, it could be something good, but we've got to, of course, dig it out to find out. Okay, we've now dug the plug, and as you can hear, it's still there, but it's not quite as clean now. But I'm still very interested to find out what this is, so let's get the pinpointer in and see what we are dealing with. Okay, do you know what? It's not a coin or anything like that. It's just a piece of lead. But of course it is a solid target, i.e., lead is just one type of metal, isn't it? Although it's several different types of metals mixed into it. That's why it's giving you a nice, consistent, solid tone. So that could have been anything, guys. We had to dig that one out. But it is just a piece of lead, so let's move on. Okay, so as you know, we today are using the Forager program. It's the Forager 2.0 program. It was a bit of an upgrade to the original Forager program. That one had 3 tones and a couple of other little different settings in there, whereas the Forager 2.0 was primarily designed around the 2.0 Deus firmware. And as I say, 5 tones really works absolutely amazingly, especially at picking out the good bits from the bad bits. And as you can see, I am using the XP Deus 2, and today I have got the 11-inch coil. Now, I have made no tweaks to the Forager 2 program today. I have literally come out, turned the remote control on, and just got detecting. I still haven't made any tweaks at all, but if I do, I of course will let you know. And it's still early days, it's about 12 o'clock today. we're going to keep pushing on in this field, but we've got a couple more fields to try as well. So as I get some targets, I'll let you listen to them, and hopefully we get something good today. Okay, here is another example of a target which sounds really good, doesn't it? It's coming up at around 71 to 72, but have a listen to what happens to this target when I start to move around it. You hear that? Instantly changes into a much lower irony type of buzz. And then let's go around this side. So it's kind of good, but then you move off it, there's that little iron buzz. So it would be very tempted to dig this target, and I can see why. But I can absolutely guarantee you that this target is going to be some sort of modern junk or something like that. And I don't want to do this, but to prove my point, I'm going to dig it out just to show you. There we go. Have a listen to how completely different that sounds now. We've disturbed it, we've got rid of a few inches of topsoil, and the metal detector is telling us that what we've just gone and found here is, of course, a huge lump of iron. There we are, look at that. Absolutely no good at all. That is the sort of target that needs to be left in the ground so that you can move on and find all the good bits. So this is, at last, quite a nice little clean target. And I was beginning to sort of lose a bit of faith in this permission because we weren't getting too many clean targets. A lot of them were sounding quite sort of dirty with an irony grunt, but we had to push on, see what we could find, and have a listen to this. From any angle that I go from, this is an absolutely solid 65. So it's quite a low sort of VDI number, but that of course doesn't mean anything. It just means that it's very likely a nice solid little target. And it's got that nice thud behind it as well. Have a listen. Just that little thud, straight after that nice high-pitched sound. Now that could mean that it's relatively close to the top, but could also mean that it's something a bit trashy. But I'm definitely going to be digging this one. These are the types of targets that we're looking for, and let's see what we've got. Okay, so it has come out in the top of the plug, which means that little thud that I was talking about probably meant that it was quite close to the top. But that's not a problem, because it means that we've got less to do in order to be able to find it. Okay, and what do we have? Oh wow, look at that. This is without a doubt what we have just found, and it's round. It's definitely round. Oh, wow, look at that. It's a little bag seal, isn't it, I think? Definitely looks like a little lead bag seal for sure. It's heavy, so it's got to be lead, and of course it's a solid target, isn't it? It's lead again. So that's why we were getting a nice steady number, and the sound was just consistent all the way around. But that is a cracking little bag seal. Have a look at that. It's kind of got 2 stars either side, and well, I don't know. I have no idea what that thing in the middle is. Oh, just broken it a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, have a look at that. That is so cool. Probably about 1500s, maybe 1600s, this bag seal. So a nice target, and that was definitely going to be dug all day, every day. So yeah, let's see if we can find some more. So we've got another target, and we're actually right down the sort of bottom end of the field now. It's quite a slopey field, this one, but we spotted it sort of where we were detecting a minute ago, and we were like, oh my God, the grass is so much shorter in there. So we've just moved in here. So we're going to give it a go in here for about an hour. But this is quite a nice, sweet little target. It's coming up at around 81 to 82. And as you can hear, it's not got that grunt, hasn't got a thud behind it. It's just a nice, honest, sweet little target. And I'll be quite interested to see what this one is. So let's give it a dig. Ah, would you look at that? It's another piece of lead. Although it has got, looks like some sort of copper alloy mixed in with it, which is probably why it was such a high sort of VDI number. But it's another piece of lead. Lots of lead today. Not many great finds, but we're going to push on. You know, you've got to keep pushing on if you want to find something good. Not every site is looted with amazing things. But yeah, that really could have been anything at all. So let's push on. Hopefully we get something good on the next one. Okay, so we are near the end of the day. It's about 4:15 now. And I thought, well, Mr. Tweed's out with us again today. It'd be rude not to find out what he's found. And he's actually had some quite interesting bits, a little bit better than what we've done today. So what have you had, Mr. Tweed?
Yeah, well, as you know, it's been hard going, isn't it? Very hard going. There's been some really, really difficult signals, isn't there?
Yes.
But I have managed to winkle a few things out. So firstly, I've got a nice horse brass. There's no detail on it, but you know, it is what it is. It's not a find of the century, but they're still nice to find, aren't they?
That's a barrel tap, isn't it?
Yeah, barrel tap. Yeah. So
Part
again,
of a barrel tap.
Again, not the best find in the world, but it's something, and I always enjoy finding them.
That's cool. Yeah, I like it.
This is probably my find of the day. Little lead token, which I reckon's probably between 13 and 1500, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, looks like a little gaming token, counter, something like that.
Yeah, and I think the slightly older ones, sort of 13, 1400s, they had a cross in them, didn't they, which simulated the cross and pellets on the hammered coins, I believe.
That's right.
So,
and actually that does look like a cross and pellets in a way, doesn't it? But it'd be worth cleaning that up and seeing what you can get from that, because that's quite nice. That's probably the oldest thing that I've seen all day. But that's cool. What else you got? Oh, a big buckle.
Lovely big buckle.
Lovely big buckle, yeah.
Which is 1550 to 1650, I think, thereabouts. So yeah.
Really nice, really nice.
And also a nice
that silvered button. And I don't know if that's a Devonshire regiment. I could be wrong, but the shield on it's got 3 what I call pirate swords. So I'll try and Google that later. Oh, you've done well. You've done better than me, better than us. But next time, you never know. Mr. Tweed strikes again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are at the end of the day now. It is probably about 4:30. The sun has gone and the grey clouds are coming in. But we've had an awesome day out. Okay, we haven't had loads of nice finds or anything like that, but that's not always what it's about. And I really hope you've enjoyed me sort of demonstrating to you a little bit more about the Forager programme. It would have been really nice to go over a few coins and bits and bobs like that with you as well, but the day just didn't turn out like that. But hopefully it will give you a slightly better understanding of how the targets sound with all the different tone breaks that we use, and obviously which type of targets you might want to dig and which type of targets you might want to leave in the ground. So hopefully I'm going to do a few more videos like this, but I've also got another program coming up soon as well, so keep an eye out for that one. We're going to shoot off home. Thank you so much for watching. Do consider to subscribe to the channel if you like metal detecting content, because this is definitely the place for you. And again, do give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. But as I said, that is the talking out of the way, and I will catch you all on the very next dig.